This is the intro class, which calls the banner and the play greeting from the UI manager class. All it does is shows text displaying, do you want to start chatbot? When the user enters yes, the chatbot starts to work. The UI manager class displays the banner and plays the voice greeting, very similar to the previous program. The chatbot class, the main class, I've added various new things, such as a dictionary and a list. I also there's an instance of the cyber topics class, which we'll get to later. There's a dictionary for memory and a list for the sentiment words. There's also a sentiment handler, which we'll get to later. Now to the chatbot itself. This is the dictionary with all the prompts the user can ask the chatbot and what the chatbot does after various prompts. I added a type text so that it's very realistic to something like a ChatGPT, where it doesn't just display the text immediately but writes it out. I have the interaction as well, the interaction where the user interacts with the program. This is a main place where the user interacts with the program. It has all the different prompts the user can ask and what they do. Those random responses now for when the chatbot asks the user what they'd like to discuss rather than the same prompt over and over. There's a if statement here regarding whether when a user enters that they're interested in a certain cyber topic, or when they quote that a certain cyber topic is their favorite, it records it here and starts the method. It triggers the method. There's various other things here, such as this bool match and invoke, and it invokes the item, which essentially takes what the user has put and then communicates with the dictionary, and then obviously runs that program. We have a remind, recall, and my topic thing here, which goes back to the memory. If the user says remind me or recall what my favorite cyber topic is, it will do that. We also do have a sentiment handler here where the user enters a sentiment and the program records it. We have a collect users info, very similar to the previous one, except this time I did add a exception handler here, where the user can't just leave the space empty, which was my mistake in the first program. Various other things very similar to the other ones, such as the show help and show purpose. Show purpose has random responses, unlike previously. Ask feeling also has multiple random responses for whether the user feels bad or great. This is the important one, which is the handle cyber topic interest, recall interest, and the get username. This here prompts the trigger the interaction to begin, the interested and my favorite. There's various loops. There's a for each here, various ifs here, whether what the user entered contains the trigger or not, and then displays what chatbot says. Here, if the user writes, I'm interested in whatnot, there's a switch statement here that checks what the user is interested in and then runs that program, as I'll show later on. The get username is very important so that I can pull the name to the other classes. Now we move on to the cyber topic class. Here, very similar to the previous one where I had various prompts for the different cyber topics, we have the password safety, phishing, scamming, privacy, and safe browsing. They all are built in a very similar way, as I'll show you here, between phishing and password safety. They all have their own heading, various random responses regarding the subject at hand. The chatbot then asks if the user would like to continue the discussion, creating a sense of flow in the conversation instead of restarting the topic. If the user tells the chatbot that to follow up what they have said or to continue, there's random responses for that as well. Or if the user says, no, I would not like to continue, it exits the chat. Very similar between all of them as well. You can see here in phishing. The user can also, mid-conversation, just pick another subject due to this bool match false thing, which then relates back to the dictionary. Over here, we have the user sentiment. This is where the sentiment is stored, checked, and then displayed again. This here detects the sentiment keywords, making sure that the words match. Here, it scans the topic, such as phishing, scam, privacy, safe browsing, etc. Here are those random messages for whether the user is curious, worried, or frustrated at a certain subject, and then shows it properly. We will now be starting the program to see how it runs.
Welcome. I'm your cybersecurity awareness bot. I'm here to help you navigate the online world safely and securely.
Start by saying yes, we would like to start chatbot. If we don't enter our name, it prompts us to enter our name. If we don't write our name down, if we don't enter our surname, it prompts us to enter our surname as well. It then asks us how it can assist us with various random responses to that as well. And then we ask, well, what is safe browsing? It tells us safe browsing is a practice of using the internet in a way that avoids security threats like viruses, scams, etc. It also gives us a tip, asks us if there's any more we'd like to discuss. We can either ask it to follow up, or we can just ask it, what is scam? And then it tells us what scamming is. Scam is a dishonest or illegal scheme that deceives people, etc. And then also gives us a tip again. If you ask it to please follow up, then tells us that tech support scams can claim your device or is infected. So with each cybersecurity topic, you can either go to another one or you can ask them to follow up, and it'll generate responses to that as well. Now, I can say, well, I'm interested in phishing. I'm interested in phishing. Well, my favorite cybersecurity topic is phishing. If I enter that, it tells me, it gains memory, and then great, I'll remember that you're interested in phishing. What would you like to discuss? If I ask, please recall my topic. As someone interested in phishing, here's something useful. It then displays the phishing prompt as well as various other things that such as the tip and whatnot. Those are the tips. I can then ask anything really. I can ask sentiment handling. Okay, now let's move on to sentiment handling. I'm curious about privacy. No worries, we can. That's a great approach. Curiosity is a great way to learn more about piracy, and then displays the privacy prompt and etc. showing me what I can do. There's various other responses as well, and random responses to that.